Hi Revolution Prep, my name's Nick Tae-woong. For my video interview portion, I'll be doing something a little bit unconventional. The topic that I'll be covering today is actually going to be hypnosis. We're going to start with some, basic misconceptions about hypnosis as portrayed in the mainstream media, the reality and science behind the practice, and kind of go into a basic introduction of how to hypnotize people, get into the actual induction process itself. So just to start, what is hypnosis, or rather, what do you think of when I say hypnosis? Now, most people kind of have that set image in their head, some sinister mastermind with the swinging pendulum, mind controlling people into doing their bidding. But actual hypnotherapy is nowhere near as exciting, to be honest. You can't really hypnotize someone unless they actively let you. In fact, the way you don't get hypnotized is you just don't think about getting hypnotized. And the way that works kind of goes into the science of hypnosis. And so, in a nutshell, your consciousness is divided into two parts. So you have the active consciousness and the subconsciousness. And so the active consciousness is the everyday thinking portion that you're aware of. It's the part that you tell to worry about your taxes, or to do some physical activity, or puzzle out some question on the SAT. While the subconscious portion is it's the innate portion of your consciousness that you're not actively aware of. It's the part registering sensory information. It's what comes out to play when you dream. The difference is kind of similar to the autonomic somatic nervous system dichotomy, if any of you have studied anatomy. So under the somatic nervous system, you actively signal your nerves to do an action. You tell your body to pick up that coffee cup and take a sip. Meanwhile, your autonomic system is kind of all these background processes that are going on. It's your homeostasis, your 98.6 degrees that's being kept even though the coffee that you're drinking is really hot. It's your body digesting the coffee, even though you don't have to actively tell your stomach, you're going to digest this coffee. Or, your heartbeat, and it's staying very constant despite you taking this accelerant. And so basically what hypnosis boils down to is very similar to that, where you're shutting down the active conscious portion of your consciousness and you're kind of going straight to your subconsciousness. There's a reason why the brain scans of people who are under hypnosis are very similar to someone who's dreaming, because that's essentially what you're doing. You're putting them into a trance, into a dream state. And from there on, you're kind of dealing with their subconsciousness and bypassing the everyday consciousness that you have going on. And so getting into actually how you hypnotize someone, it's really very simple. All you have to do is kind of sit them down in a very quiet, relaxed environment and just have them focus on your voice, to relax, to take deep breaths with you, in, out, tell them, every muscle in your body is slowly beginning to relax. Just focus on my voice, feel the body relax, feel all that stress just melt away. And essentially what you're doing here is you're turning off that conscious portion of the brain and you're redirecting attention from this active worrying and mental energy that we all have going on and kind of putting them into a trance. So the trance-like state, it's brought on by two parts. So you have the relaxation from the breathing and kind of the muscle relaxation, and as well as the commands that you're giving them. So their entire consciousness is focused on what you're saying rather than, some outside activity that's going on. And so because they're focused on what you're saying, you kind of lower their brainwave activity to a point where it reaches a trance state. And so you'll know when you kind of get there, when you see their entire body relax, the breathing will be very normalized. And at that point, you kind of want to work on induction. That's when you, from that trance-like state, once they're very relaxed, once their breathing is normalized, you kind of check up with them, see if they're receptive to commands. Because what happens when your subconscious is kind of laid bare like that is it makes you very suggestible. It makes you very open to commands. And that's what hypnosis is. And so that's essentially all hypnosis is. You're relaxing someone to that trance state, and from there you give them commands. You're like, you feel very, very relaxed. And now what I want you to do is when I say a certain word, I want you to feel a certain way. Or when I say a certain word, I want you to do a certain thing. And you want to continuously kind of push this command into their subconscious. You want to repeat that multiple times in that same sort of relaxing tone of voice. And then once you've kind of inducted this command into them, you want to pull them out of the trance. You want to be like, okay, and then when I'll snap my fingers, remember what I said. Remember when I say this word, you'll feel very relaxed, no matter what the circumstances might be. And so when I go 1, 2, 3, we'll get out of this trance. But remember exactly what I said about this word making you feel relaxed. And that's all hypnosis is, really. And I know there was a very short 5 minute sort of portion of a very complicated science, but really, in a nutshell, that's kind of all it boils down to. It's dealing with the subconsciousness, surpassing the consciousness, and kind of just making people feel a lot better about themselves. It's a form of therapy, in a sense. And so I hope kind of in that short 5 minute period, you've kind of gained a better understanding of what hypnosis is, kind of the absolute, spark notes basics of how to do it, and, a little more information about the induction process. So thank you. My name's Nick, and this has been my video interview portion.